And I think if we can democratize this opportunity and let corporates, banks, investors, asset managers and private individuals to take responsibility and get involved with allocating capital towards these projects that are like impactful projects that reduces carbon footprint, because the climate change is happening where we can see it.
This is AssetRush Talk, where we talk with the pioneers of the financial industry. And today I'm here with Joachim from SEB Group. So Joachim, please.
Thank you. Thank you
Introduce
for having
yourself.
me. My name is Joachim Emanuelsson. I'm a co-founder and an executive director at SEB Group. Great to be here.
So wonderful. What would be your first statement to start the conversation with? What do you stand for?
SEB started its journey 16 years ago, and we've been a low carbon firm since, and we've been a pioneer in renewable energy, been a leader in this space. And,
what drives you?
Making a difference, making a tangible difference, and being in the space and being in commodities, you're dealing with things you can see and touch. Mm-hmm. And similarly with your actions in what we're doing now, when we're starting our new part of our path, funding projects and really getting involved with the climate battle, you can see the difference you make.
And for you personally, what does that mean? Now in execution.
Well, being able to tell your children or speak to future generations that you've done something about changing or restoring the ecosystem. That's a big deal.
And where do you want to create the most part of the difference?
I think where we can make a difference is our deep knowledge of the space, and also democratizing the solution so that we open it up to more people. And I think that's important. I think making it a benefit where more groups can be involved in solving this. And I think it's only then, when we all work towards the solution, that it will work.
I mean, from my history, I learned that most investors, big scale investors, are mainly interested in impact. Having an impact, mm-hmm. I mean, what do you see on that side?
I think that's absolutely right. I think an investor needs to have more and more. It's not just about returns, but they need to see that, okay, they can look at their stakeholders and their investors in turn and say that, well, we're doing something about this problem. I mean, as you know, recently there has been a big debate around ESG and what it is, and are people using it as marketing? But I think that pendulum is swinging back to reality, and now investor wants to have a real impact. They want to see it.
So talking ESG, tell us a bit more how your firm, so to say, makes an effect there.
So what we're doing in the firm today is we're funding projects ourselves, but the next step is we are opening up a certificate where we will take in capital and deploy it direct to source and in the secondary market. So we will invest in the highest quality carbon offsets, to basically linking investors to these projects with innovative finance on the Gen 2 platform.
So what's the effect for the investors investing in these certificates?
Well, the investors will benefit from the price realignment of carbon tons for years to come, as more and more corporates signs up to carbon neutral or net zero. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, they can offset their own residual carbon footprint with our strategy.
Now, how do you see that playing out in the ecosystem itself, in the financial ecosystem, making these assets accessible, investable? Yeah. So how does that fit into the ecosystem?
Well, so right now, it's voluntary carbon credits are not viewed as an asset class per se. Mm-hmm. That will come. We're jumping the gun a little bit here and making it an asset class, an investable asset class today by securitizing it. And I think that's a first.
Oh, it definitely is, and it's a fascinating also asset class in terms of return and also effect.
Yeah.
So where do you see that going into the future?
I think it will be a proper asset class, just like we have the compliance market. I think it will be fungible with that eventually. I think it's the best way for climate projects to get funding, to take it out of the hands of the government. I mean, that is my view. Governments are good at certain things, allocating capital, maybe not so much.
And how was your experience so far and the response from investors, or basically the talks that you had?
Yeah, it's been fantastic.
Yeah.
It's been really, really good.
What sort of returns do you think are expected from the asset class?
I mean, I'm not alone in thinking this, but we're looking at double-digit returns for a few years to come here, with, like I said, with more and more corporates signing up to net zero. So I think you're going to have a price realignment of the asset class itself.
Mm. And how do you expect the market to grow? What's the market size? And
right now it's pretty small. We're talking about $1 billion only, and that is looking to grow to 30 billion in the next 3 to 4 years.
What do you see in terms of competition and in terms of engagement there? I mean, is that all purpose aligned?
No, I think it will be competition, and that's great. I think we need more firms like ours into the space, and there are already firms doing this, project managers and investors who are running projects on scale. So I see the space as being wide open right now, and there will be many different roles one can play, all the way from rating projects to running projects themselves.
So the future of your business, how would you best describe what will happen in this market?
I think commodities in general need to redesign themselves and how they both traded and how they handled and grown. So everything from agricultural products to energy will be redesigned with a carbon footprint in mind. So I think we're on the verge of a revolution.
And how does that, so to say, are there any examples today already?
Already you see carbon neutral shipments of gas, for example. So it's being tested, and I know on the conference blockchain is a big topic, and that's already being filtered into commodities and trying to make the transaction on chain and save paperwork and create efficiencies. And I think the same will be the case for the carbon market.
On the digital market, I see that completely. What other potential synergies do you see coming together with other asset classes and with the things you do?
That's a big topic. I mean, like I said, carbon neutrality will need to be featured in everything we do. It's either going to be a tax, a governmental tax, yes, or the private sector can do something about it and tax ourselves and take the first step towards that. And I think if we can democratize this opportunity and let corporates, banks, investors, asset managers and private individuals to take responsibility and get involved with allocating capital towards these projects that are like impactful projects that reduces carbon footprint, because the climate change is happening where we can see it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, you can't dispute it anymore. I mean, totally. Here in Switzerland, I mean, our glaciers are getting smaller and smaller, springs and summers are getting warmer and warmer. We need to do something about it, and this is a good way of doing it, something about it, and at the same time benefiting. So
I totally agree with you. Now, how would you see that when you look at the entire industry in your sector, where do you oppose with the peers in that? I think for ESG is being used everywhere, and I think you have to be careful with the acronym. And I believe that using voluntary carbon credits is a bridge towards carbon neutrality. And I think I know that some people will view that as greenwashing, and that I think we need to be careful with that label. I believe investing in these projects is an excellent way of getting, for a company to get towards their carbon neutrality goal. It may take 10, 20, 30 years for some, but they need to do something now
We need to start now to get there. They can't just wait. So I think it's an excellent tool, and that's why I'm so excited about it.
Now tell me a bit about the platform that you have right now. Now you create these investment tools, you create also information, I guess, around the topic.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit more how people can engage with it.
So first of all, the securitization of the portfolio is the first step for us to take investments and then deploy them. So that's the first. So engage with us through our platform, through our website, through LinkedIn, through emails, and that's the first step, to just get to know us and see what we've done. Come and speak to us at AssetRush, find out what we've done in the past, and we have a 16 years worth of history in renewable energy, biofuels, bioethanol, agricultural products, feedstocks, and we've been a world leader in that space since. So we have a lot of industry knowledge and know-how. We've always prided ourselves on being the knowledge hub for any market that we start, and we've started lots of new markets, and this is just a new part of our path.
Totally.
So
when you are now present at AssetRush and when you join the ecosystem, what do you expect from the people in the audience? What do you expect in terms of responses to our talk today?
I think it's a bit, for us, ideally we would like people to come up and say, hey, that sounds like the perfect product for us or for our customers, and engage us on that level. Networking, I think is great. I think branding, having been at an event like AssetRush, is important to be able to reference back to it. And I think it's, that's what I expect. You know, it's a bit of a short game and a long game. You have some people who are first movers, they will come up to you and shake your hand and want to close a deal that day. Others, they need more time, but that's fine.
No, I mean, that engagement, of course, within the ecosystem is very important, and also to gain that acknowledgement. And I think we can certainly build on that. So the top 2-3 takeaways.
We can all do something about this. This is not a problem that is too big. It seems like a very, very big issue that we can't do anything about. But you know, we can all do something. And I don't mean just recycling bottles.
So thank you very much for the interview, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.